What's going on, everybody? Happy New Year. Happy New Year to a new year of trading as we go into 2026. I did a video about 3 weeks ago, and then I said I would do one right after the new year, kind of update you with you guys with my portfolio and where it's at. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. I did move back. I know I only had moved my broker about 3 months ago, but I didn't really love everything about IBKR. I wanted to consolidate everything back to Robinhood, so I moved everything back to Robinhood, and I'll end up showing you everything in the whole portfolio here in just a sec. But just wanted to update you on that. I did leave IBKR not because of any significant issues or anything. Just wanted to consolidate all the portfolio into Robinhood. But we'll go ahead and jump right into it. Let's go ahead and start with just the general S&P. So the market has been kind of, I wouldn't say massively bullish, massively bearish. It's just been kind of chopping around. You can see here we've had some drops and then, we've rallied, dropped, rallied. If I had to say the bulls are in control still. You can see that on all the charts pretty much. The Dow just made a new all-time high. The Russell is attempting to make a new all-time high. Now, the thing that concerns me a little bit is tech is lagging. Now, not necessarily does it mean that it's a bad thing, though. The Nasdaq has carried most of these gains since the tariff lows down here. So to see some rotation into basically all the other stocks in the market, the other 493 companies, not just the Mag 7, is kind of healthy. And you can see that here. This is essentially the NYSE total composite. You can see here that this has been making new all-time highs while the Nasdaq has kind of been going sideways, allowing some of those big tech stocks to consolidate and not just continue to climb and climb actually could be seen as a healthy thing. So we'll see how this progresses. Earnings season will be coming up here in about 6 weeks, I think end of January, early February, so 4 to 6 weeks. So we could have some more upside here. I would probably start to lean a little bit and get a little bit more cautious as we go into February. I think that there could be, just like last year, a little bit of bumpiness, maybe 5 to 10% of a pullback, but we'll see what the market's doing when we get there. I'll go ahead and get right into the portfolio. So I haven't done anything new with AMD. I still have my position. It is no longer my biggest position anymore. I've rebalanced quite a few things and stuff, but I'm waiting. I think that where it's at just rejected this 50-day here. I think that based off of these fib levels, I think it's going to come back down, at least get to this 185, maybe 170. And I'm not saying that it's going to do that right now with the market being pretty strong. Maybe though, earnings season, it gets a little bit weaker, comes back down here into this 200 moving average around 165 to 180. That would be a great area that I would definitely be picking up more shares. My Nebius position, I bought some more. I think I mentioned it in the last video. My average, I want to say, sits around like $88 or $89. So I am up on the position. I have 70 shares. And I'll show you guys that right now once we switch back over here to Robinhood. ASTS bought 50 shares a little while ago, somewhere, I think it's $72. So up on that position. Have no plans to add. This chart is just higher lows, higher highs here. Or excuse me, lower highs, bullish pattern here that we are just continuing to push higher and higher here. So just holding this, I think on one more good push, maybe up into like the new all-time high above 100, maybe even up here into 120, I probably might sell the shares. This is a position long-term that I'd like to build out, so I'm not sure if I'll sell those 50 shares or if I'll just let them ride, and then as the market pulls back or the stock pulls back into my average cost or even lower, I'd get more aggressive and buy more. Rocket Lab has been a great buy. I bought 100 shares right around $40 here on this red day. And then I added a little bit more. So I have 110 shares. I believe my average is like 42.50. So I'm up nicely on these shares, I think about almost $5,000 so far. And I think that this chart also has some room to run. Space, robotics, drones. I think this is going to be a big theme in 2026. I just posted on my Twitter, and I'll show you guys my overall portfolio percentages of what I have invested in what. And I think that those themes are going to be very volatile, but I think that they could return great returns this year if you're willing to sit through some of that volatility and stomach some bad red days. So we'll see how it goes. That's just how I'm getting the sense of how these charts are starting to look. Um, and we'll go from there. But we'll see how that all ends up playing out. Still have my HIM shares. 36.20 is my average, so I am down a little bit on this. I like that we broke this low and immediately recaptured, and now we're starting to try and push back up. If we can flip this 50-day here at 38.27 to support, I think our next move is up to 47, and then coming back down to potentially test this trend line here and eventually maybe break and attempt maybe at these, you know, $60 to $70 price range, maybe by mid 2026 would be a very nice move here. Zeta, this was a new position. I believe that I had bought it last time I made this video in December, but I'm not 100% sure. But I did buy 250 shares. I think my average is like 1889 or something. I bought it right after I saw that we were starting to reclaim this 50-day. I had this nice downtrend that I already had multiple attempts to try and break and couldn't. And then it helped that they partnered with OpenAI. This news was released after hours on Monday. So we'll see how this stock continues to do, but this is all looking very nice. You can see here, lower high, lower high, lower high. The 200-day is starting to slope up. The 50-day was starting to slope up. The downtrend line. You know, I did some fundamental research. There's a lot of people on Twitter talking about this right now that had a lot of great videos explaining what this company does. And I liked the theme of it and where it was headed. So I bought the 250 shares. I think I'm up a little over $1,000 on it right now, which is pretty good for only owning the stock for about 2.5 weeks. Unipath is another one. Really, really great chart. I made a mistake yesterday. I have 200 shares at like 16. I think my average is 1670 something. When it dipped yesterday or the day before into this 50-day moving average and I saw it starting to wick off of that, I should have added to the position. I said I was going to, and I didn't add. I just watched it, and then yesterday it just exploded up into this 1750 area where it's trading right now. So I didn't add here. If it was to pull back again, I probably will add, because you can see here, I had this downtrend here that it's respected. Multiple tests, tried to break out here, and also could not break out again. But I think it's going to make another attempt. And once it clears this hurdle here, this blue line that I have around the 18 to like 20 almost dollar range, I think the easy next target this is going is up to this previous resistance here at like 27.50. So that's, let's see, from current prices, that's 57% upside here. Now, I'm not saying it's going to shoot straight up there, but there's definitely a chance that it could. That's where, once we clear this next hurdle, that we're going from there. So I got 200 shares. It's nothing big, but I wanted some exposure. Oscar here, still just, you know, no man's land. It isn't the biggest position in my portfolio anymore, so I'm just letting this ride. You can see here the 50-day is starting to slope down. Eventually it's going to start to curve up. The 200 is just flattening out here. So we'll see. Let's see if we can get these as support, the 50 and 200-day, and maybe eventually start finding support and moving up and trying to get back up here to test this 23.36 level. I talked about either in the prior video or a video before that the ACA subsidy extensions were going to be a big factor for this. Republicans and Democrats haven't really came out with a lot of good news, or I should say positive news, as far as them agreeing on something to extend those. So I think this stock is going to stay kind of choppy and sideways until then. And I'm willing to ride out the volatility. I've been in this stock. I think I started buying this stock either in July or June. So I've been in it for a while now, and I don't plan on selling it. I think that once again, I think that upside is more likely than downside on this stock. There could be some more downside potentially into this gray shaded box here that I have. But I would be happy to add to my position there. And like I said, this now only consumes, I think, like 8% of my portfolio. So it's not the heaviest weighting anymore. These other two positions here, so UUUU is a uranium play. The reason I bought this was a momentum play based also how the chart looks. So I think I bought at 15 on the dot on this big candle here. I only have 100 shares, so I'm only up like 300 or 400 bucks. So it's not a big position at all or anything. I actually sold a covered call for my 100 shares at like 21. So if this gets to 21 by next Friday, Jan 16th, my shares will get called away, and I'm going to take the $500 or $600 and just call it a day. This wasn't something that I fully understood as a long-term vision, and I think it's still early. Essentially, they own one of the only rare minimal mineral plants that I believe it's in Utah, that manufacture or is able to essentially produce certain minerals that are very important for like EV batteries and things like that. So I thought it was interesting, and I liked the chart, so I took a small shot on it. It obviously is up and doing well so far, but it's early. The company's very early. There's bigger players like MP that um, are further along in their process, and could be a tailwind for a smaller company like this. So it's just something to consider. Ondas, this was another great buy that I recently bought, but once again, very small exposure because my portfolio isn't massive, so I can't be taking these big $7,000 or $8,000 positions in these small speculative plays. Because if I buy, let's say at $8 and this drops to $5 and I've got 8 grand, I'm down a couple $1,000s in there on a very small portfolio. So I bought, my average here I want to say is 862 or 863, and I only have 150 shares. But I like what this company is doing as far as drones. They are doing multiple sectors that they're focused on as far as their drones. So they do railroads. I think the drones can be used for everyday purpose, oil fields, and then they're also in a defense area of the drone sector as well. So I'm still doing a lot of research here. Lately, I've been buying once I understand basics of the company, and then I'll go to Twitter and use Google Gemini and things like that to really understand, what's the financial picture, where is their vision, what type of moat do they have, who's their competition, how is their competition doing, and then from there I build more conviction, and then I'm like, okay, I understand this a little bit better. Let's get a little bit more aggressive on pullbacks or before this thing breaks out. That was why I took a bigger shot and had a bigger position with Zeta, because I felt like I understood the business a little bit more from watching people's YouTube videos, from just reading articles on Twitter and things like that. So my plan is to continue to read here, but this is very extended. It doesn't matter what stock this is. The RSI is almost up at 80. You can see here prior times RSI was up at 80. Now, it doesn't mean that the stock is just going to fall off a cliff and just pull back massively, but I wouldn't be buying shares up here. If you're not in already, don't buy up here. Wait for some consolidation. Maybe wait for it to pull back a little bit more. Use some fib retracements or something, but buying up here blindly would literally just be gambling at this point. So I would not do that or advise anybody to do that. And then Ethereum, still have my Ethereum position, have a little over 2 Ethereums. Average is 28.93 or something. So now that I've went through all the charts, let's go ahead and get back to my Robinhood portfolio, excuse me. So you can see here, portfolio value is at $44,300. I am using some margin here. I've got about 12,000 in margin, but this is about to be reduced. I'm about to deposit some cash in here, so this will probably be, by the time I make the next video, probably down in the 8. I'm not buying anything further, and once I sell, hopefully these shares get called away eventually. My margin will only probably be about 3 or 4 grand, which is not really that much for how much portfolio value I have here. So, but going into 2026, my goal is to keep my margin balance as low as possible, because I do think there's going to be some volatility, and I do think there's going to be some bad days in my portfolio and a lot of people's portfolios somewhere in 2026. So I'm just trying to get ready for that and not be overexposed. So here's that UUU call that I was telling you guys about. So it's $21 call for next Friday. So if the share price is above $21, I'll sell my shares at that price. Anything above $21, I make no profit off of it. If it's below $21, I think I sold this yesterday for like $39, so I'll just profit 39 bucks, and then I'll redo the strategy once this expires on my 100 shares again. But I told you on this 150 shares, 250, and you can see the rest here. Now I can't give you my averages right now, which makes it tricky because Interactive Brokers hasn't sent over my averages. I'll show you here what I'm talking about. So you can see here it says the average cost and total return will appear once your other broker sends the cost basis, which can take 15 days. I reached over to Interactive Brokers today, and they had told me that most of the time it takes anywhere from 10 to 15 business days from when the account was fully transferred. So my account fully transferred back into my Robinhood last Friday, which was Jan 2nd. So they're thinking somewhere toward either the end of this week or sometime next week, all my share prices should update and get fixed. But yeah, that's it for right now. We'll see what the market does. I'm pretty happy with all my positions right now. I don't really have any other plans to add anything else. There are a couple speculative plays here that I am looking at, like Joby's one of them. I really like this consolidation, this downtrend here. I would probably buy some shares if it pulled back to this 50-day, right around here, around like 14, 15, with the thought that we would probably break and maybe make another attempt at this all-time high here around 21. But beyond that, the only other company that slightly interests me is Delo. This is a profitable company. The rest of these companies down here aren't profitable. This is the only one that's actually profitable, making money. So it's a little bit less risky if I was to take this position in Delo. Essentially, it's a emerging market company that allows for quicker one-way transactions, and it's based in a lot of like foreign countries and everything. So it makes payment processing essentially easier for people who own businesses and things like that. So, but I haven't done enough research yet to really understand what's the long-term vision of this company and where could the stock price eventually go. But the chart looks great. Once again, downtrend, multiple attempts. Looks like it tried to break yesterday again, failing, consolidating. If it was to pull back again, maybe to the 50-day, you can see how many days it spent from December 18th through Jan 5th, almost 2 weeks just sitting riding this 50-day. That's pretty bullish. That tells me that buyers are accumulating here. So we'll see. We'll see if some volume comes in and we get a strong break. If we do, you can see here that this 16 to almost 17 has been pretty strong resistance, but you break that and hold, and you've got some room to this prior swing high back here in August of 23. So, but it could need more time. So we'll see. I'm not sure what I'm doing specifically there. And then there's a bunch of other stocks here that I have that I haven't made decisions on as far as if I'm adding, if I'm going to leave them, or what I'm going to do. But that's it, guys. If you liked the video, please, as always, like and subscribe so I can continue to grow the channel. And we'll see you at the next video.